There's a version of my life where everyone is proud of me. My father smiles at my wedding. My family shakes hands with powerful friends. People say, he did the right thing. And there's another version of my life where I might lose all of that because I fell in love with someone my family didn't choose. Right now, I haven't told anyone. Not my father. Not the girl he chose for me. Not even the girl I love. 3 people believe 3 different futures are coming. And I'm the only one who knows. Only one of them can be real. This isn't a story about love. It's a story about what kind of man you become when keeping everyone happy means losing yourself. If you were me, would you protect your family's honor or your own truth? Because I'm about to make a decision that will change everything, and someone will get hurt. I used to believe that adulthood would feel like freedom, like reaching a mountain peak and finally seeing the world from above. Clear, white, yours. Instead, it feels like standing in a room where the walls are slowly moving closer and everyone else is calling it love. I'm 21 years old. I study at university. I've never embarrassed my family. I've never caused trouble. I followed the rules, respected the expectations, stayed in line. If someone described me from the outside, they would say I'm lucky. Strong family, good name, stable future. And maybe that's the problem. Because when your life looks perfect from the outside, no one thinks to ask if you're suffocating inside. A few weeks ago, my father told me I would be getting married this summer. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He didn't ask. He said it the way someone confirms a business agreement that has already been signed. It's time, he told me. We've spoken to her family. This is the right decision. The right decision. I remember sitting there, hearing every word clearly, but feeling like I was underwater. I knew the girl he was talking about. I've known her for years. Our families are close. She's kind, educated, respectful. There is nothing wrong with her. That's what makes this harder. If she were cruel or arrogant or selfish, maybe I could reject it easily. Maybe I could turn this into a fight between good and bad. But she isn't bad. She smiles politely when we meet at family gatherings. She speaks softly. She looks at me with a mixture of curiosity and distance, as if she also understands that something about this situation doesn't belong to us. And here's the part no one knows. I love someone else. For a year and a half, I've been with a girl who wasn't chosen by anyone but me. She doesn't come from influence. She doesn't come with alliances or advantages. When I'm with her, I don't feel like a son fulfilling a role. I feel like a person. She laughs loudly. She argues with me. She challenges me. She dreams about small apartments and late-night noodles and building something from nothing. With her, the future feels uncertain but alive. With the other girl, the future feels secure but scripted. And I haven't told anyone. Not my father. Not my mother. Not the girl I love. Not the girl I'm supposed to marry. I walk through my days as if nothing has changed. I sit at dinner. I nod when my father talks about preparations. I answer messages from my girlfriend with normal words, pretending my chest isn't tightening every time I see her name. I am living in 2 realities at once. In one, I am the obedient son. In the other, I am a man who wants to choose his own life. What scares me the most is not the wedding itself. It's the possibility that I will slowly disappear inside a decision I didn't make. Sometimes I try to imagine the girl my father chose. I try to see her not as the arrangement, but as a human being. What if she also has dreams? What if she is also being told that this is the right thing? What if she is sitting somewhere, wondering if I even want this? We have spoken before. Casual conversations. Family gatherings. Once she asked me about university. I remember noticing that she watches carefully before she speaks, as if she measures the emotional temperature of the room before stepping into it. Does she feel trapped too? Or is she ready for this life in a way I'm not? I don't know. And the worst part is, I haven't even allowed myself to ask, because asking would make it real. Right now, everything exists in silence. My father believes I will obey. My girlfriend believes we are building a future. The other girl probably believes the same thing her parents told her. that this is stability, this is honor, this is adulthood. And I stand in the middle saying nothing. People say silence is neutral. It's not. Silence is a slow decision. At night, I lie awake and think about the word duty. In our culture, it's sacred. You respect your parents. You honor their sacrifices. You don't embarrass the family. You don't break alliances that were built over decades. My father built his life from nothing. I've heard the stories 100 times. The risks he took. The humiliation he endured. The nights he worked without sleep. Everything I have exists because he refused to give up. And now I am supposed to tell him that the future he carefully planned for me is not the future I want. What kind of son does that make me? What kind of man stays silent instead? Sometimes I look at myself in the mirror and try to see who I am becoming. Not who they expect me to be. Not who my girlfriend thinks I am. Just me. And the truth is, I don't know. Am I strong enough to choose love over structure? Am I mature enough to understand what I might lose? Or am I just a 21-year-old romantic who will regret rebellion 5 years from now? No one gives you a manual for this. There's no guaranteed right answer. Only consequences. And I haven't chosen which consequences I'm willing to live with. That's where I am. Standing in the space between two lives. Saying nothing. Breathing normally. While everything inside me is slowly cracking. There's something strange about carrying a secret. At first, it feels temporary. Manageable. Like you're holding your breath underwater and telling yourself you'll come up soon. But then you realize you've been underwater for too long. And you're no longer sure which direction is up. I see my father almost every day. He speaks about the future with confidence. Like a man who has already secured the next chapter of his legacy. He doesn't ask if I'm ready. In his mind, readiness comes after commitment, not before it. He believes stability creates happiness. That love grows from structure. That obedience now means gratitude later. Sometimes I wonder if he's right. Because what if love really does grow? What if the girl he chose and I could build something real? She's intelligent, calm, thoughtful. She's not someone I dislike. In fact, I respect her. When we talk at family events, our conversations are polite but not empty. There's a quiet awareness between us. As if both of us are standing on a stage, aware that the audience has already written the ending. A few days ago, I ran into her at a mutual family dinner. Nothing unusual. Just relatives, tea, controlled laughter. At one point, we were left alone in the living room for a few minutes while everyone else was in the kitchen. It was awkward. Not because we hate each other. Because we both know something is happening to us without us. She asked me how university was going. I answered automatically. Then there was a pause. A long one. She looked at me carefully, like she was searching for something beneath my surface. "Are you okay with everything?" she asked. It was subtle, almost hidden, but I heard it. She wasn't asking about exams. She was asking about this. And I did what I've been doing with everyone. I smiled. "I trust my parents," I said. It wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth. She nodded slowly. I saw something in her eyes. Not excitement. Not joy. Something closer to uncertainty. Maybe even fear. For a second, I wondered if she's also living in silence. If she also has questions she's too careful to ask. But neither of us went further. Two adults pretending to be certain. Two people walking toward a decision neither one fully voiced. And I left that dinner feeling worse. Because now it's not just about me. If I stay silent, I'm not only betraying myself. I might be dragging her into something neither of us truly chose. Then there's my girlfriend. She calls me at night. Talks about small things. Professor who annoyed her. Cafe she wants us to try. She sends me photos of random moments from her day. As if we have years ahead of us. Every time I hear her voice, something tightens in my chest. I watch myself speaking to her like a version of me that still believes in our future. I say we without thinking. I say next year like it's guaranteed. She doesn't know that every time she talks about the future, I feel like I'm stealing from her. Because if this ends, it won't end gradually. It will collapse. And she will look at me and wonder when I stopped fighting. The truth is, I haven't even started fighting. That's the part that scares me most. I keep telling myself I'm thinking, analyzing, being responsible. But maybe I'm just afraid. Afraid of my father's disappointment. Afraid of losing financial stability. Afraid of being the son who broke tradition. Afraid that if I choose love and it fails, I'll have no one to blame but myself. It's easier to follow a path someone else designed. If it goes wrong, you can say, "It wasn't my choice." But if you carve your own path and fall, that's entirely on you. Some nights I imagine both futures in detail. Not in romanticized ways. In practical, uncomfortable realities. If I follow my father's decision, life will be structured. Predictable. There will be support. Guidance. A clear role in the family business. A respected position in the community. I will be seen as responsible. But will I feel alive? Or will I slowly become quieter, more distant, convincing myself that this is maturity? If I choose my girlfriend, there will likely be conflict. Financial struggle, cold dinners, silence at family gatherings, maybe even complete distance from my father. But there will also be something else. Ownership, the ability to say, "This is my life. I chose it. Is that worth the cost?" People online always say, "Follow your heart." But your heart doesn't deal with consequences. Your heart doesn't watch your mother cry. Your heart doesn't carry the weight of a father's disappointment. Your heart doesn't sit across from a girl your family trusts and say, "I'm sorry, I can't do this." That's not poetic. That's brutal. And I'm not sure I'm built for brutal. Recently, I've started noticing how everyone assumes my agreement. Relatives congratulate my father in advance. Subtle jokes about married life. Plans being made around me, not with me. It's like watching a train being built on tracks you're expected to stand on. I haven't told anyone to stop. And that silence is starting to feel like consent. There's a moment that keeps replaying in my mind. My father looking at me with pride. Not pressure. Not anger. Pride. As if he believes he raised a son who understands sacrifice. What if, in his mind, this is me stepping into manhood? And what if in my mind, manhood means something different? Maybe adulthood isn't about obedience. Maybe it's about responsibility for your own decisions. But responsibility requires action. And I am still suspended in hesitation. The girl my father chose looked at me that night with a question in her eyes. My girlfriend looks at me with trust. My father looks at me with expectation. 3 different directions. 3 different versions of who I'm supposed to be. And I still haven't spoken. I'm beginning to realize something uncomfortable. The longer I wait, the more damage I cause. Because silence doesn't freeze time. It builds pressure. And pressure eventually explodes. I don't know when that explosion will come. But I feel it getting closer. And I'm running out of excuses. There's a moment in every person's life when the noise gets so loud that silence is no longer peaceful. It becomes unbearable. I think I've reached that moment. Nothing dramatic has happened. No shouting. No ultimatums. No tears. From the outside, everything is calm, structured, controlled. But inside me, something has shifted. I used to think this situation was about choosing between 2 women. Now I understand it isn't. It's about choosing which version of myself I am willing to live with. The obedient son who keeps harmony at any cost. Or the independent man who risks breaking it. I've started observing my father differently. Not as an authority. Not as pressure. But as a human being. I see how he carries himself. Firm, decisive, rarely uncertain. His whole life has been built on strong choices. Strategic ones. Sometimes ruthless ones. He believes he's protecting me from instability. He believes he's giving me strength. And maybe in his world, love is not the foundation. Structure is. But I grew up in a different world than he did. I was given education, exposure, ideas. I was taught to think, to question, to build identity. And now that I'm thinking for myself, it feels like betrayal. I've also started seeing the girl he chose in a new light. Not as an obstacle. Not as the problem. but as someone who might also be standing on the edge of a life chosen for her. The last time we were in the same room, there was a brief moment when everyone else stepped outside. Just us. Quiet. No performance. She looked at me and said softly, "Are you nervous?" I almost laughed. Nervous. That word felt too small for what I'm carrying. I asked her, "Are you?" She didn't answer immediately. She looked down at her hands, then back at me. "I think this is a big responsibility," she said carefully. Responsibility. Not excitement. Not happiness. Responsibility. And in that moment, I realized something painful. If I stay silent, I am not protecting her. I am trapping her with me. If I don't speak, I'm allowing both of us to walk into something that neither of us has fully chosen out loud. And that thought has been haunting me. Then there's my girlfriend. She recently told me she believes I'm different from most men she's known, that I think deeply, that I don't run from difficult things. I had to turn my face away when she said that, because right now I am running, not physically, but emotionally, avoiding the conversation that could change everything. Avoiding the moment when I stop being everyone's expectation and become my own decision. I've realized something uncomfortable about myself. I'm not afraid of losing money. I'm not afraid of struggling. I'm afraid of disappointing my father. Not because he'll yell, but because I might see something break in his eyes. And that kind of break doesn't heal easily. But then I ask myself a harder question. If I choose to protect his expectations, who protects my life? Because once this happens, there's no rewind button. Marriage is not an experiment. It's not a "we'll see." It's a structure that shapes decades. And I can't walk into decades half awake. Lately, when I sit alone, I imagine myself years from now. Not in a dramatic way, just realistically. I imagine waking up next to the girl my father chose. Respectful, stable, predictable, maybe even peaceful. But I search that image for something specific. Light. Do I see light in my eyes? Or do I see acceptance? Then I imagine the other path. Conflict, possibly distance from my family. Hard conversations. Financial independence built from scratch. But again, I search for the same thing. Light. In that version, I see fear. Yes. But I also see something else. Ownership. And I've started to understand that regret doesn't come from choosing the harder path. It comes from knowing you never truly chose at all. I haven't spoken yet, but something inside me has changed. Before, I was hoping the situation would somehow resolve itself. That someone else would create an exit. That time would soften everything. Now I understand. Time doesn't solve moral tension. It magnifies it. Every day I delay, I become less honest. Not just with them, with myself. And I don't want to become a man who survives by suppressing his truth. I want to become a man who can stand behind his decisions, even the painful ones. That doesn't mean I'm ready. It doesn't mean I'm fearless. It means I'm starting to see that silence is no longer neutral. It's a direction. And if I continue in this direction, the choice will be made for me. I don't know exactly how the conversation will unfold. I don't know how my father will react. I don't know if the girl he chose will feel relief or hurt. I don't know if my girlfriend will still look at me the same way after everything becomes real. But I do know this. For the first time in my life, I'm not asking, what will make everyone comfortable? I'm asking, who am I willing to become? Maybe adulthood isn't about keeping everyone satisfied. Maybe it's about accepting that someone will be disappointed and choosing to live honestly anyway. I'm not announcing my decision yet, because this isn't about a dramatic ending. It's about the quiet shift that happens before action. The moment when a boy realizes that obedience and integrity are not always the same thing. I'm standing at that edge now, still silent, but no longer asleep. And if you were in my place, not hypothetically, not romantically, but truly, knowing that whatever you choose will reshape your family, your love, your identity, would you protect harmony? Or would you protect your truth? Because I'm beginning to understand something terrifying and freeing at the same time. No matter what I choose, I will have to live with the man I become after it. And that might be the real decision. I haven't spoken yet. Not to my father. Not to her. Not to the girl I love. But something inside me is no longer silent. For the first time in my life, I understand that staying quiet is also a decision. And if I keep waiting, the choice will be made for me. Maybe some of you think this is simple. Just follow your heart. Just respect your parents. But real life isn't that clean. Real life asks you to hurt someone. There is no version of this story where everyone wins. If I protect my father's honor, I might destroy my own truth. If I protect my truth, I might fracture my family. And I keep asking myself one question. When this is over, who will I see in the mirror? A son who obeyed? Or a man who chose? So now I'm asking you, not theoretically, not romantically, but honestly. If you were 21, if your family had already planned your marriage, if you loved someone they didn't choose, would you stay silent? Would you fight? Or would you sacrifice love for stability? Write it in the comments. Not just follow your heart. Tell me why. Because maybe your perspective is the one thing I'm missing. And maybe, before I finally speak, I need to know what kind of world I'm stepping into. So tell me, what would you do?